Most of the time when I make videos, it's as a result of something I've heard about before and I want to dive into a little bit more. I'll do some research, try some things out, and do a bit of thinking. But today's video is the exception to that rule. This video came about as a result of something that happened to me organically during the course of a speedrun of Pokemon Red. Anyone who's watched videos on this channel before will know that I've been trying out speedrunning Pokemon Red a bit lately. It's a really fun speedrun, especially for beginners, and I've been enjoying lowering my PB over successive runs. As I did more runs and got faster, I learned more about how the game works, what fights to watch out for, and how to best do the movement. During one run, I came to Route 9, where there are 2 mandatory fights before you enter Rock Tunnel. The first fight is a junior trainer right at the beginning of the route with 4 grass-type Pokemon. This is where the event occurred. In Red speedrunning, this girl is known as the 4-turn Thrash girl. You use a Nidoking for the speedrun, it knows Thrash in Gen 1 hits 3 to 4 turns before confusion happens, you get the idea. You can play the fight safe, use a move such as Horn Attack for the first Pokemon, then use Thrash and have a guaranteed 3 turns for the remaining 3 Pokemon. Or, if you want the faster and riskier route, you hit Thrash on the first Pokemon and hope that you get the full 4 turns of Thrash, rather than 3 turns and confusion. Thrash, as far as I can tell, has a 50% chance to go for 4 turns and a 50% chance to go for 3 turns. It's a simple premise. Take a small risk, flip a coin, and if it comes up heads, you get a faster fight by a few seconds. But what happens if you get 3-turn Thrash? This is the debacle that happened to me during my run. I fancy myself as a bit of a gambler. I've been known to enjoy a game of chance from time to time, so I typically go for the Thrash. The risk is low, since none of the Pokemon here can deal very much damage at all. The only risk to you is you. So anyway, I got 3-turn Thrash and the confusion set in. No biggie, I thought. I've been confused before. Even if I hit myself, I've got a 50% chance each time to hit a Horn Attack, and then I'm golden. I only need 1 hit and the fight is over. This is not what happened here. Predictably, I kept losing the coin flips and hitting myself. I should explain how confusion works in Generation 1, since it interacts with the game's mechanics a bit differently. Confusion itself is the same. It's a 50% chance to hit yourself, and confusion lasts 2 to 4 turns. Turns where the Pokemon is unable to use a move do not count for those 2 to 4 turns. This means sleep, freeze, or flinch turns do not count down the confusion turn count. Where Generation 1 is different is that there are more opportunities for your Pokemon to be prevented from attacking. Freezes last forever if not healed, hazed, or hit by a burn-inflicting fire-type move, and confusion cannot be cured using items, including full restores and full heals. This was changed in Generation 2. Sleep lasts 1 to 7 turns in Generation 1, and Pokemon do not attack on the turn that they wake up. So you can get confused, sleep for 7 turns, wake up, then hit yourself in confusion. This is just awful, and it will come into play later on. The next thing that can go wrong with this fight is Wrap. For those unaware, Wrap and Bind also work a little bit differently in Generation 1. Wrap goes for 2 to 5 turns and you cannot attack during these turns. This means you simply have to wait for the 2 to 5 turns to pass before you can even select a move. To come back to confusion, Wrap turns are also not counted for the purposes of counting 2 to 4 confusion turns. So you can get out of the Wrap attacks and still hit yourself in confusion. Terrible, right? Confusion and being trapped by Wrap are called volatile status conditions, meaning that they are status conditions that do not last outside of the battle, and can be fixed by switching out. For context, things like burns, poisoning, and paralysis are called non-volatile status conditions. In Generation 1, volatile status conditions are completely broken, and can take what was going to be a relatively decent speedrun and transport me to the most painful struggle of all time. Let's look at the play-by-play of how this nightmare worked out. I thrashed the first 3 Pokemon in the fight, no issues. I lose the first coin flip of the fight as Thrash goes no further and my Nidoking is confused. With my Thrash of Terror at an abrupt end, Bellsprout enters the arena.
Oh, it's Bellsprout!
I quickly attempt to prevent the circus from entering town, but no luck as I lose my second coin flip and hit myself in confusion. The Bellsprout responds in turn by gifting me what I think will be my ticket out of here with only 1 turn lost. It uses Poison Powder, a move of no concern to a buff Nidoking like mine. I attempt to attack again, but lose my 3rd coin flip, and hit myself in confusion again. The Bellsprout laughs at me, a shrieking, hideous sound that echoes outwards as it stares me directly in the eye and curses me to eternal sleep. Sleep, as I noted, lasts 1 to 7 turns. At this point I'm shocked, aghast, and most of all nervous. I'm not having any of this and immediately reach for the singular full restore in my bag. This cures my sleep and restores my health, but leaves me as confused as the day I exited the womb. The Bellsprout blinks and uses growth. I think, this is it. I just need to snap out of confusion this turn and I am free from the slowly degrading purgatory. But no, I lose my 4th coin flip in a row and hit myself in confusion. Now exasperated and veering towards totally molding, I gaze in horror as the Bellsprout laughs at me again and puts me to sleep. I have no status healing items, so I am forced to simply ride this one out for the full 1 to 7 possible turns. The Bellsprout uses a couple of growths, and it appears to be fine, just a bit slow. I'll wake up, and having already hit myself 3 times, be out of here in a couple of turns after I wake up. This was not to be the case, as the mask slips and the Bellsprout reveals its true sadistic nature. It uses Wrap. I am now asleep, unable to attack because of Wrap, and still confused. I hang my head in my hands, unable to believe the calamity unfolding in front of my eyes. I mash A faster, as if that would somehow get me out of here quicker. I wake up after the first Wrap, unable to attack and now conscious to the horrible situation I find myself in. I cannot attack since Wrap prevents me from doing so. Unbelievably, Wrap goes for 5 turns, the maximum amount possible and only a 12.5% chance of happening. Finally, after all of that, I should be able to attack and get the hell away from anything resembling a plant. But no, that was not to be. You see, as I noted earlier, confusion turns are only counted when you are able to actually attack. After all of this, I am still confused. After all of that, I lose my 5th coin flip and hit myself in confusion. I truly cannot believe what has happened to me, and I am now full-blown tilted, utterly molding, completely enraged. I'm not a particularly angry person, so it probably didn't seem like it, but this was atrocious. So there I am, utterly fuming, having just hit myself in confusion again, and the Bellsprout decides to punish me further for my 4-turn Thrash hubris by sending me back to slumber. If you'd told me when I woke up on this fateful day that this was going to happen to me, the sheer RNG hell that we now all bear witness to, I simply would not have gotten up and slept until tomorrow. Mercifully, the shambles was coming to an end. I slept for the near maximum 6 turns, including some turns where the Bellsprout decided to taunt me further by using Wrap again, and awake to find myself unwrapped and unconfused. I hit 1 horn attack with a defeated, dejected sense of purpose, and finally end my own living nightmare. When I tell you now that all of this took place over the course of 90 seconds, it doesn't seem real. So many turns, so many bad rolls, lost coin flips, and all for only 90 seconds. Now, in the context of a 2-hour speedrun, 90 seconds isn't the largest amount of time I could lose. But how on earth do you recover from that kind of taunting, harsh, hateful beating by a Pokemon that you could so easily have killed in one hit. How do you go on with a clear mind and a good heart after losing one singular fatal coin flip that then ruins your day? The important context here is that I was already behind on my run by about a minute, and had every reasonable chance and expectation to catch that time up and get a new personal best. It's certainly what I was hoping for, but after this fight, this humbling, hubris-smashing fight, I felt defeated already. The run would go on for another hour and 24 minutes, but it was over in my heart. My final time was 2:26.52, a full 3 minutes and 46 seconds behind my personal best of 2:23.06. 90 seconds wouldn't have made the difference to my personal best, but I tell you, the mental effect on the rest of my performance and attitude towards life in general was palpable and overwhelming, and the run was lost as soon as I first hit myself in confusion. A 90-second disaster that crushed my dreams and wounded my spirit. A loss of speedrunning innocence captured in real time. By my own count, the fight lasted 23 turns rather than the standard 4 that the name 4-turn Thrash Girl implies. In those 23 turns, Nidoking was prevented from attacking 4 times due to hitting itself in confusion, 11 times due to being asleep, and 5 times due to being wrapped. Now, there's an obvious question that many of you have been screaming out since the start of the video. Why didn't you just swap out at first, heal the confusion, and then let the swapped in Pokemon faint, and swap back in to kill the Bellsprout? The answer is simple. I didn't think of that. It's my fault. I would note though that the faster option, generally speaking, is just to try to hit through confusion the first turn and not swap at all. It's riskier, sure, but it is faster, and that was the sole state of mind I brought to this fight. I certainly wouldn't have bet on losing 5 confusion coin flips in a row, but that is unfortunately what happened. I also want to note that most routes for this game advise using either Horn Attack or Mega Punch, and then Thrash, to guarantee the 3-turn fight. It's only if you want to take the risk that you go for the 4-turn Thrash. It saves minimal time and, for very fast runners, introduces a 50% risk that your run ends for a couple of seconds time save. Most people would agree that that's not really a worthy risk to take. The current world record by PokeGuy goes for the Mega Punch and then Thrash, which I think makes the point. Beginner runs like the ones I do are low stakes, and even with this battle, if I had done well on the rest of the run, I still could have beaten my PB. I didn't do well, and so I didn't beat my PB, but that's due to a whole range of other reasons. Thanks for watching, everyone. Tell me, has the 4-turn Thrash Girl ever ruined your day? Let me know in the comments below.